Hello, lovely listeners. We are back. Welcome to another episode of the European Herpetoculture Podcast. Today I'm featured by my wonderful friend, co-host, and the man, the myth, the legend from Copenhagen, Denmark, Florian.
What
Hello, what's up?
up?
What's up? Yeah, my
Long
name.
break.
Yeah, a long break, but we are still there. Yeah, my name is Till. I hope you all remember us. Um, as you might have noticed, the podcast was going kind of a little absent. We haven't posted the usual schedule, but we want to break this now. And yeah, this is just a little update episode, nothing special, no wonderful guest, just Flo and I talking a little bit about how things are going. And yeah, I hope you enjoy anyways. We we will continue with guests, but yeah, we just wanted to talk to you and give you a little update. So
Yeah.
here we are. Welcome.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, at the moment it's kind of like I don't know, we are all three very stressed out at the moment. It's a lot for all of us, so the whole podcast is at the moment not that important. Uh like not the first priority that we have, and we just thought that we're gonna upload like not on a weekly schedule anymore and just load up when we have like time for it because sometimes this even though we only upload like twice a month, it's still a lot of work.
Yeah.
um and I think if we are not motivated to do it, and it's also not fair like for the guests and also for you the listeners when we are not motivated. So I hope you understand that. And of course, we will continue, but maybe we take a little breaks throughout and see how it goes, because in the end of the day, real life is more important than spending all day in the computer. And I think it's also something we really realized over the last few weeks and month. Yeah.
Yeah. So greetings from Ben. He didn't make it today, but he's also still on the team. But yeah, as Flo said, we're all kind of busy right now. But on the other hand, we also want to keep it going because we still really love this project and we don't want to just let it bleed out. Yeah, but if you have any ideas or anything you wish to hear on the podcast, please also let us know because with being a little more inactive, we also yeah, had some, yeah, let's call it struggles or weren't quite sure in which direction we want to develop this project, but we all want to still keep it going. So if you have
Yeah.
ideas, let us know. Um, just for the transparency, we thought, yeah, maybe it's interesting if we share that. If don't,
Yeah.
yeah, Pech gehabt. Yes, so we also have some awesome guests in the pipeline. Today, Flo
Mhm.
and I wanted to record a very nice episode with a very nice guest, but had some technical difficulties, so we had to postpone it. But that will still come, and yeah, we just
Yeah.
go off a regular schedule and we will still be there for you. And maybe, depending on what topics we have and what updates we have, maybe we also think about stepping a bit back from that much guest episodes. So maybe you have to hear our voices a little more than usual. So,
Yeah.
because it's always also not that easy to there are a lot of great people out there, but we want to focus on the European part, and you still need to find these people. They have to be ready to uh, come on the podcast, and also you have to find time where at least two of us have time with the guests, schedule something. We don't want to like uh, cry about it or
Find
anything.
excuses.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
want to share the excuses, but we want to make it a little transparent for you so that you know what's going up with us. Is that correct, Flo?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And to be completely transparent, as you maybe see in the background, the enclosure also looks different. And I had like a super big downward spiral in the hobby. Uh,
Yeah,
I have to admit that. Uh, was actually the first time, nah, yeah, that I really felt like super weird and kind of like awkward about it because, yeah, we can just address the elephant in the room, kind of, that I sold the Posturus basically after, how long was it? A month or something?
I think so.
1.5 month. It was, to be honest, I didn't thought I would lose so much interest just because of like a different enclosure type, like the whole desert setup. It was fun to build it, and the Pasturus was also fun, but it didn't fulfill me at all. The whole
Yeah,
desert setup, nothing, no plants, no real interaction. And it was super weird for me because I felt so awkward because we made so many episodes about it and told you how to do research, and now here I am, like selling the animal after 1 month, which is still like cringe to me. But in the end of the day, I
yeah,
didn't feel like it was. I wasn't happy at all.
yeah,
Like Till can also tell you about it, but I had zero motivation. My the whole herb thing wasn't there for me. That's why I'm also like super inactive on social media at the moment because I don't know. In that time, I also figured out I love the hobby definitely, but it's at the moment not my priority.
yeah,
Like it's one of the like lowest priorities at the moment for me because like still with the move and just other interests came in, and I think that's also fine. And maybe we can also talk about that a little bit. We thought about it because I guess some of you or many of you had maybe this phase in their lives and their hobby life. Yeah, maybe just like talk about that. It's also okay to be like in a phase where you don't keep anything, or maybe feel that you need to sell something because you don't like it. But that's that's the whole social media thing, right? Because
yeah,
I also told you, Till, and also Ben, that if if I wouldn't have like social media, the decision to sell the gecko would be not hard at all. It felt more like pressure because we have this podcast and the Instagram, and then, oh, what do people think? Because I don't
mm,
want to be that guy that sells a lot of animals. And over the last few years, I saw quite a lot, like with the Corallus, then with the
mm,
Corotophanes, the Enyalioides, and I felt like it felt like weird to me. And at the moment, I'm like
yeah,
at a very low point. It's coming slowly back with the plants, but for now, I don't want to keep any animals because I think it's good to have some time off of the hobby to
yeah.
recharge, to be honest.
I'm pretty happy that you are willing to talk about it on the podcast because I think it's, even though it's, let's be honest, a shitty situation,
Yeah.
it's still something worthy to talk about because maybe someone can learn from our mistakes. In
Yeah.
first hand, it's cringe to admit. It feels cringe. It's not cringe.
Yeah.
It's good to admit it online and in front of the people that are listening to this. Um, but it feels shitty to admit something like this online. But I think it's important because on the one hand, you are the one, or we are the ones that are telling others on the internet, hey,
Mm.
be careful when decision making, do scientific husbandry, inform yourself, do this, do that before getting an animal. Then we set up this project, make
Yeah.
X episodes about it, and then after 1.5 months, it's like,
Yeah.
But sometimes it is like this, and I think it's something a lot of people experience. So yeah, I'm happy
I,
that you are transparent about it.
I think it's also very eye-opening for me to don't to not judge people as fast online
Yeah,
because you
true.
never know what's the background, and like you can do all this planning, and at the end of the day, when you have it, it's always different, right? I
Yeah,
think it would make like a difference if I had like a second setup with plants. Then it would be completely different. But only
true.
this one, I
Yeah.
just miss
Yeah,
plants.
you want to have your thing,
Yeah,
and you don't know if it's your thing until you have it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I
yeah,
don't know if I talked correct, but you never know how it feels to have it at home. So
Yeah.
I've experienced with animals that I always saw online, saw them in videos, saw them in pictures, and was like, wow, mind blowing. I need to keep this species. Then you see them somewhere in real life and are like, yeah, okay, isn't kind of that interesting anymore. And the other way around, there are tons of animals that I didn't found nice or something, but it sparked a joy when you interacted with them or
Mm,
had them at home. For example, I'm always talking about the Lepidophyma, I know, but that is some animal. If you would have showed me these on the internet a few years ago, I would have said, okay, look cool, but nothing for me. But
mm.
with keeping them and having them there, seeing them, I fell in love. So you basically need to make the experience to see if you like
Mm.
it. And that's pretty difficult, and that's something you barely can prepare yourself for.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when it comes to live animals, right?
Yeah, true.
That's
With
like the hard thing about it because in the end of the day, it's an animal, and you don't want to treat it like it's some, I don't know, just like Pokemon
Pokemon
card or
card. Yeah.
something. Yeah, yeah. So for me, I think with the Prestoras, it's kind of like I didn't feel that guilty because it's like a very small species and a lot of people can keep it like in a good
Yeah.
way. But if I would have like a bigger animal, I would feel more shitty about it.
Mm.
Um, yeah, but then it's crazy. You will never know how you feel about it, right? It's also like I thought a lot about it because now I'm also very conscious on how I post stuff online or what I talk because now I feel like very vulnerable because before that I was always like, yeah, I always make, in my opinion, like the right decisions for me. But this was the first time that I make like a big mistake in like what
Mm.
I choose. And then it also feels weird because I'm in this hobby for like more than 10 years and you feel like kind of experience and then something happens like this, then you feel like, whoa.
Yeah, before it happens, you don't think this would happen to you because you're,
Yeah.
hey, I've kept a lot of species. I'm into this hobby. I know what I'm doing. And then you're like, oh, well, it also can happen to me. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's obvious, but yeah, with selling animals, I think I've talked about it in the podcast before. I got into, yeah, not a downward spiral, but I started to reflect on keeping the colubrids that I keep and that I used to keep. Yeah, and I never sold them. And I don't think that I ever will because I'm afraid that I find a good home for them and the next owner
Mm,
will resell them and they end up in a shitty home. But I also have I regularly ask myself if it's the right thing to do because you see them in the wild, you see the videos of them, how
mm,
the person films them on the ground, and within seconds they are up a mountain or did a lot of meters, and you have them just at home in tiny spaces. So right now I'm also more the team of keeping small lizards. But also, I don't want to part ways with my colubrids because I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like I need to give them a good forever home and improve my
yeah.
care rather than giving them away because I don't think that I can give them a good home. It's difficult,
Yeah.
but I think I saw on YouTube that Animals at Home had also a new episode with someone who also reflected on keeping big snakes and especially cribos, the Drimacon
Mm,
from South America, and also said he people visited him and decided against keeping these.
mm.
And I haven't listened to the episode. I just saw some YouTube shorts, but I definitely need to check it out. Um, I think it's an important discussion. And yeah, with a
Definitely.
big animal like Drimacon, it's also a different level. If you give them away, I don't know where they end up, right?
Yeah, definitely. But it would be interesting maybe for the listeners if they could write us if they also had like a phase like this
Yeah.
or maybe are in a phase like this because I think it's also something good to know that there's also other people out there that have the same struggle.
Mm.
And sometimes maybe you overthink it. So it's maybe also good to spread the word. And also, I think it's a good learning for me as well to maybe not, I don't know, like at the end of the day, I thought I could never live without reptiles. And now I'm like in this zone where I don't have any reptiles and feel like, okay, at the moment, I just like the plans are fulfilling me as well.
Yeah,
So, and it can also change next year again. Like you will never know. But I think at the moment, it's just not the right thing, and it's also hard to admit because
yeah,
I like this whole like thing with social media, but also at the moment I don't like I'm not participating in this hobby at all, and that's why it also felt weird to make the podcast. That we also had a
yeah.
longer break because I felt like wrong about making a podcast about this hobby without even participating in it and
Mm.
telling like giving my advice or talk about it. So it's
Yeah,
I think it's just a weird phase, like for me to like learn from it and
yeah. It's,
yeah.
I think sometimes you're a little hard on yourself
Oh
because you
yeah.
still have these experience, you still build these great enclosures and took care of great animals and great plants and made great setups. So these experiences aren't away while you are out of the hobby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I also get the point that you say, um, I'm not an active part right now, so I can't contribute for the community or whatever
Yeah.
community, if there's community, you know what I mean. Um, so totally understandable. Yeah, but I think it's important to talk about it, and I'm also curious if the listeners made similar experiences. And I also feel like it's a hobby or interest or a passion always has ups and downs, and
Mm,
you have these ups and downs in how deep you participate and how deep you are interested and hyped about
mm,
it, but also over time you develop in other branches. So maybe you get
mm.
away from lizard keeping but get into insects, or
Yeah.
more interested in plants, or more in setups, or outdoor keeping, or whatever. So it's it's such a big topic, and you can also combine it with so many different things, like yeah, keeping plants, focusing on the technical part, the building part,
Yeah.
the keeping part, the breeding part. So there are so many options.
Yeah.
Yeah. S-
Yeah, definitely. A
Yeah.
lot of
So
options.
yeah, with me, as you know, over the last years, I totally branched into the plants. I also, my interest shifted more into lizards than I thought it would be. Still not
Mm.
a lizard guy, still not a lizard pro, but really love anoles and the lepidophimas. So that's very specific, I think. So
Yeah.
I'm I'm like, oh, I love these two genus
Yeah,
very
yeah.
much. And with other lizards, I'm like, oh, that looks cool. I have no idea what it is. Or
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, nice, a chameleon. So I think my knowledge about snakes is bigger than about lizards, but sometimes I have more fun with the lizards right now. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, for real.
also with the plants, has taken literally very much room in my
Mm.
flat. So
Yeah.
so it's not getting out of hand, but it's taking space. It's taking time, and I really love it. The collecting and like growing your indoor gardens, something I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And I see it of like a like a concept of a big passion. So it's not like I like to keep reptiles and I like to keep snakes. It's more
Mm.
I want to see it as one thing, and that makes it easier for me to take care of it. And it's not like, oh, I have to take care of hobby A and I need to
Mm.
take care of hobby B. More like I want to fulfill my
Yeah.
passion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. But do you feel like at the moment you're participating in this hobby like you had before, or is it for you also more like you don't know about
Yeah,
it?
the question is, what do you mean by saying participating in the hobby? Because I'm doing my shit here. I'm doing
Yeah.
my things. I'm also buying new supplies, new plants, trying different things. I bought a nice new thing for the plants. I'm planning to do some changes with some plants. I'm taking care of my stuff, um, animals and plant wise. I just redid a setup for the big Lepidophyma. It's now in a 2 meter enclosure, working on that. So in that kind of way, for me and at home, I'm taking part in, I'm living my hobby, but I'm not participating in the online stuff. So, of
Yeah,
course, every now and then recording a podcast episode or talking to you guys. But also,
yeah,
we had a lot of different things to talk uh,
yeah,
about our private stuff, sports, and everything, not
yeah,
just hobbies. So, friendship
yeah.
things.
Friendship. Yeah,
Yeah, friendship, and it's more like friendship, and we share the same passion or the same hobby. Um, So our contact wasn't limited to keeping reptiles or plants. But I've been very inactive on Instagram and also wasn't interacting a lot with the contacts that I have in the hobby,
mm,
like the hobby friends and the people I usually interact with. Sorry about that. But that's also a focus thing right now
yeah,
because I'm so yeah, trying to do some other things in my private life. So it's more like I'm doing my hobby, I like it, but I don't share a lot right now.
yeah. You do it more for yourself,
Yeah, and
right?
to be honest, I'm quite happy about it. It's
Mm,
sometimes it's I think like I could do more out of my Instagram page and my
mm,
socials and could gain more followers, be more active, do cooler content and more insights. But also right now I feel like how I do is healthier for me because social media is really annoying me. And
yes.
I recently yeah, remounted a plant or whatever, and I was like, oh nice, I'm going to film this. And the second I thought this, I was rolling my eyes and was like, hell not.
Yeah,
I don't want to cut a video. I don't want to film it and see, oh, the perspective is shit. And redo it. It just takes out a lot of fun right now, and that's why I stepped back from. I never did a lot of content on Instagram, but you know what I mean. There
yeah,
have been times where I've
yeah.
been
Totally.
more active, reposting, talking to others, posting stuff, but right
Yeah.
now, not.
I think we're on the same page with that. That we're kind of sick and tired of whole social media and living online, and yeah, it's a difficult, weird thing at the moment because on the one hand you like Instagram, but also I don't have the energy at the moment to connect with people.
Mhm.
Uh, so it's also like a point why we didn't do the podcast for so long because like now that we all live apart from each other, it's actually also hard to keep the friendship like in a healthy way going,
Yeah.
right? And then you don't want to spend like energy on like these kind of like things and really like shift your focus on okay,
Yeah.
I want to keep this friendship going, not hang online all day long. So
Yeah, especially with the hanging online and screen time and stuff. So just for me personally, I'm an office person. I look at the screen for a living and I
mm,
have a long distance relationship, so I'm also yeah,
yeah,
always
you're online.
calling, talking on the phone. I'm online all the time and um yeah, that's something also I do it because this is what I want to do. Don't get me wrong, but also I'm happy to have some time off where I can
Yeah,
go for a run or,
yeah.
or I don't know, read a book.
Yeah, and also like with the podcast, we don't make money or anything out of it. We don't
Yeah,
have like any responsibility, let's say that, and we make it for fun. And that was always like the number one thing that we said we want to make it for fun. And that's why we are also like kind of egoistic and say, okay, we just upload it whenever we feel like it's the right time for us.
we also, I don't know if we should talk about it. I don't, yeah, we don't have to name anything. We also had, we're close to closing a cooperation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, is cooperation? Yeah, the right
Um,
word.
that's more like
Sponsorship.
sponsoring, yeah.
Yeah, a sponsoring. We were close to closing a sponsorship for this podcast, and things weren't going as we expected it to do. I
No, it was
do, yeah, but it's okay because it was a lot of hassle, and we also had a lot of discussions between ourselves, and uh, it was really draining. And after that, after it didn't work out, I personally was happy because sometimes it's nice to it would be nice to have some money or products out of your hobby,
mm,
but it's fucking exhausting
yeah.
to have to discuss business shit with your real life friends, and
Mm,
it's nice to do it for yourself. And yeah,
yeah.
not saying that we would never take a sponsorship again or something, but it's us. It makes things different. If you depend on
Definitely.
it, and if there's a good partner that's paying you with products or money to upload shit, you are also forced to upload shit, and maybe
Yeah.
you upload shit that you don't want to have online, but because you want to keep the cash flowing, and
Yeah.
this way it is a different drive, but it's more personal drive and more passionate, I think, on the long run.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. And it's also like, yeah, it's also just for us the talking.
yeah,
And then of course we upload it and people can enjoy it as well, but it's if only one person listens, it's also like completely cool. That's why I think it was like all these things that's happened the last few months was like good learning experience, and
yeah.
how it is now, I think it's very good.
I think so too.
So we only wanted to make like a super short episode, and like Tel said in the beginning, we have a cool guest coming up. The recording today, I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be super interesting. And yeah, so we just wanted to update you on the situation. It was kind of also personal today,
Yeah,
but I think it's super nice. So I hope you enjoyed it and you can understand our decisions and are still happy when we upload.
yeah.
And we are also happy that you still listen to us. So we are probably not that crazy active on social media, but you can always reach out. Maybe you need to answer, need to wait longer for an answer. So yeah, thank you so much
We're
for
still out
listening.
here. We still
Yeah.
enjoy doing this, don't worry. And yeah,
Yeah.
let us know what you think, and hope to hear from you soon.
Right. Bye bye, guys.
Bye bye. See you next time.